Then you bring in a liberal Democrat, they change everything. Wide open borders, higher prices, etc. And they try to claim that it's better for everybody.
Welcome back, episode 2. We got a little different setup. Brian's at the desk now because it looks more professional. And I'm sitting here like Ed McMahon, if you guys know who that is. Jimmy Carson's right-hand guy. Johnny Carson. Sorry, I don't even know what I just said. But yeah, so Brian's excited to do this again. He's got a different shirt on, as you can tell, with more guns, but a little more patriotic today. How do you feel about that shirt today, Brian?
Well, anything with guns is patriotic.
Some would say no. Some would say you're not being patriotic by having guns.
You know, would you want to be a family member of theirs? No. No.
That is...
They're bitter. They're usually homely. They have no sense of humor.
That and they own a cat, probably.
And I'm sure they don't cook well.
Really? You would say someone that doesn't own a gun doesn't cook well?
What I'm saying is the people that hate guns, never mind. It's just irrelevant.
Do you think they'll ever take away our guns?
Oh, they're trying.
But do you think that they ever will? Because I don't think they can.
No, they can't. They can't as long as we have an independent Supreme Court. But what they're trying to do is when they keep losing in the courts of appeal in the Supreme Court, now what they're doing is they're going to charge a humongous tax on ammunition.
Yeah.
Okay? To make it unaffordable. The other thing they're doing is the government, was it last year or the year before, is under the Biden administration, as usual, is the government started buying out all this ammunition. So you couldn't get it. I mean, there was a lot of ammunition that people couldn't go and purchase because the government's buying it because they don't want people to have it. Why would the government not want people to have guns? And don't tell me because they don't want them used in robberies and crimes and stuff like that. They're doing it. The reason we have a Second Amendment is not to protect ourselves against robbers, but to protect ourselves against an oppressive government. That's why we have a Second Amendment.
Really? I didn't know that. So
it's not the 12th Amendment. It's the Second Amendment, right behind free speech and freedom of religion.
So the Second Amendment, it really isn't for protection. It's for protection, but it's more so for not have the governments rise up.
Yeah, because the Second Amendment talks about the well-regulated militia. Yeah, I mean, look what happened. You take all the countries where they took away guns, starting with our own when we convinced the Indians, the Native Americans, to give up their guns, and then we slaughtered them. Same thing in all these other countries. Australia's going down that road, New Zealand's going down that road, but Germany and all that stuff. They convinced people to get behind taking away people's guns, supposedly for their own safety. And once the people's guns are away, the government can do whatever they want. If you don't have guns, you can't fight the government. You can't protect yourself either.
You know what's funny about guns? I bought 2 of them during COVID because I thought the world was ending, and they've just been sitting in my closet, just on the shelf. I haven't even shot them one time.
But you may need to sometime.
I know, but I don't know how to. That's the problem. Is I need to get out and learn how to do that.
Well, yeah, you got a lot of people in your family that know how to do that.
Are you confident shooting a gun?
Yes. Yeah, because every time we did a case where somebody would have a gun, especially if it was a machine gun, homemade or one that they purchased, we would have to, if we were going to charge them with that gun offense, whether it was a machine gun, one of those, the ATF or DEA would have to go out to the range and fire it to make sure it was fully automatic. And I got invited a number of times to go out to the range out there, but at Herndon in 99, and shoot these guns. Some were sawed-off shotguns. We didn't need to go out of the range. We just had to make sure they were operable because you have to prove they're operable. But, yeah, people had sawed-off shotguns. Some shotguns were about this long, the barrel. Looked like a handgun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I got to shoot a lot of machine guns and stuff.
What was the coolest gun you ever shot?
The 44 Magnum with a silencer on it. That was really cool. And, in fact, the meth heads that were cooking meth in Kingsburg. Their silencers were, they had a little adaptation to their gun, and they'd screw in a 2-liter Coke bottle or 7-Up bottle.
Did it work?
Oh, yeah.
Man, meth heads are
for
pretty
a couple
smart.
shots, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people devise things all the way. I had a great case where you couldn't sell silencers and you couldn't sell machine guns. So a husband and wife, they split up only for the purpose of conducting businesses under different names. And you go to Guns and Ammo or one of those Shotgun News, and you go there on one page on there was somebody selling I don't remember the name of the part, but it was a part that you could attach to the gun and make it fully automatic. But it was not a gun. It just went to a particular type of firearm that you could make it fully automatic.
Gotcha.
On the other side, they sold a sleeve. It just looked like a tube. On another page, by one of their relatives, they sold the inside of the tube. And all of a sudden, you have these 3 pieces, the adapter, and all of a sudden, you had a machine gun with a silencer or a regular handgun with a silencer, but they didn't put them two together. So anyway, ATF agents and I served search warrants in Smyrna, Georgia, and one other place. It was interesting because when we went into court there, the attorneys were smoking in the courthouse, in the courtroom.
That's
Only
pretty.
guy was smoking a cigar.
That's pretty gangster.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Did you like it?
I liked
Smoking
the case,
in the courtroom?
I didn't smoke in the courtroom. Never did.
Why is that?
Never would. I wouldn't. Anyway, so that was interesting, but we convicted him. But it's just one of those things where people devise ways to get around the law. And there's going to be, when you have stupid rules, now I'm not saying that was a stupid rule, but when you have stupid rules, you create, quote, criminals out of basically innocent law-abiding citizens.
For example?
Well, for example, the state legislature in California passed laws this last year that went into effect January 1 of this year, 859 separate laws.
Is that a lot?
Congress may do 5 laws
In a year?
a year, but then you have all these administrative agencies that pass even more.
So
But
just California did 800 and what?
Yeah, 859. It's either 859 or 589. It's just a humongous number of new laws that went into effect January 1st. And they went in from pronoun stuff, that crap, to, bathroom rules, more regulations of businesses, and things like that. And so, for example, the tree fruit guys, do you think they threw out all of their undersized plums? Hell no. They shipped them down to the markets down in L.A.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is telling people to throw out valuable fruit that the low-income people need because they don't have enough income to buy the more expensive fruit. So, yeah, and people violated the reserve in almonds all the time. People violated the reserve in raisins all the time. People violated the prorate all the time. All of that. Cherry marketing order had crazy rules that people violated only because it was rules put in by a bunch of your competitors, sanctioned by the government, California Department of Food and Agriculture Secretary or USDA, or any of the other myriad of agencies, EPA, San Joaquin Valley Air Quality Control Board, that comes up with this regulations regarding all this stuff that truckers have to put on their trucks and stuff like that. It's obscene.
What do they do all day? The people on the San Joaquin Valley Air Board.
They get paid a bunch of money, and they are communists. They hate capitalism. They hate people that work hard, and they want to make their life difficult. If they had their way, they would remove every truck off the road.
You think that's really what they want?
Oh, sure. Sure, as long as they don't have to abide by it.
I just find that like hard to believe because you look at like all the trucks. If you go down if you drive down the 99 or the 5 in California, there's so many truckers on the road, right? That are stimulating the economy, that are pouring, that are making the world go around, and they're making it so difficult. It seems like to do that.
They are. It used to be you could get diesel fuel for a lot less money than just regular unleaded.
Yeah.
Now diesel is much higher than premium unleaded. California has the largest gasoline tax of any other state in the nation, except I think for New Jersey. And supposedly to save the environment. And they're going to use this tax money to clean up the environment. No. They're going to tax the crap out of tires because they're going to fix the roads with them. No. They don't do any of that. They're going to tax the crap out of tobacco products to educate the public about the bad use of tobacco. No, they don't do any of that. It's a little slush fund.
Where does it go?
What?
Where does it go?
Whatever the government wants to spend it on. Right now, probably housing, educating, and medicating illegal aliens.
You can't say that. You can't say aliens.
They're aliens because they're not from here, and they came here illegally.
Ooh.
You can call them whatever you want, but that's what they are. Illegal aliens is actually in the federal codes.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, before I got in solely into the drug task force thing, I prosecuted a lot of coyotes. We'd catch the coyotes with a busload or a van full of.
What are people. Coyotes for the people out there that don't know?
They're the ones that smuggled the illegals into the country. We'd depose the illegals with the defense counsel, and we'd send them back to Mexico, and then we would prosecute the coyote. And some coyotes are bad dudes.
Yeah.
Now, it's nothing compared to what's going on now,
yeah.
Yet Biden doesn't want to do anything about it.
Well, what are some things going on today that, like you said in our last podcast, like, for example, truckers are getting told they got to put on that $30,000 environmental package where it doesn't give off all the shit they put into the air and all that. What are some things, and they say like free range pigs, like what are some other things that are affecting us that we don't even know?
Same thing with chickens. Same thing with eggs.
What's going on with chickens?
You can't buy eggs in California unless it is come from free range chickens. You know how many acres you have to have for free range chickens to make it commercially viable?
I have no idea.
A lot. So basically, they put out of business egg-laying chickens in California because it costs so much to have that much property to do it. And the eggs aren't any better. They do that for so many commodities. With California, Newsom always says that we are the first ones to ever do this, and there's going to be other states that follow. And he's right. There's other states that follow. And all it does is chokes off what makes the world go round, which is capitalism. And the people that rail against capitalism are the ones that made their money off of capitalism. But you have all these little bureaucrats sit around, and they're all appointed by liberals, leftists actually. Liberals are different than leftists.
What's the difference to you?
Well, a classic liberal is the one we're all for free speech.
Gotcha.
Leftists, no free speech.
So like a liberal would be like JFK. Would be like
yeah.
he'd be like a
I mean,
right.
There was some JFK was a liberal.
Yeah.
Right now he'd be considered a conservative, and heaven forbid he ever got elected. But for example, UC Berkeley used to be the free speech university in the country. Now it's one of the worst. You can't get a conservative speaker on there. The police will be ordered to stand down. They'll be attacked by the liberal screamies, the leftist screamies, and they're no longer free speech. None of the big universities are free speech. In fact, I would say even state colleges, they're not free speech unless you're in a state that actually protects those free speech rights. So anyway, there's just so many rules and regulations right now. They want to control every aspect of your business, and they do that through legislation. And if they don't want to do it through legislation because they know that if they do that, people maybe get kicked out of the office, they have the bureaucrats do it, or they do it in subtle ways. A big one is what happened in 2020. COVID, we better have mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just all kinds of things they're doing now, and it depends upon, okay, a lot of people don't like Trump, okay, fine. But Trump, when he was in there for 4 years, he never tried to over-regulate us. He relaxed regulations. He kicked out regulations. He wouldn't regulate further. People had more income. They had more savings. They had a better quality of life. They had lower gas prices. They had lower grocery prices. But oh my God, what a horrible person he is. So then you bring in a liberal Democrat. They change everything. Wide open borders, higher prices, etc. And they try to claim that it's better for everybody. Look what they're doing for forcing electric cars down our throat. First of all, they make them too expensive, and when they realize that, then they start giving subsidies to buy an electric car. And they're claiming that we have to get rid of all of our fossil fuels. Those are the only thing that charge that they use to charge chargers for these cars.
Well, didn't I see like back east where it was like super cold and they wouldn't restart?
Oh, yeah.
Because they froze the battery or something?
Nobody could charge their cars. It sounds like a great idea. Clean up the environment. You know what I would love to see? I would like to see a president or a Speaker of the House or the person in charge of the Senate to have a committee formed where you would have two sides. Those that think this climate thing is a hoax and those that don't. Let's have our scientists get in there and testify under oath.
Like scientists like Fauci, or are we talking like...
Scientists that believe that climate change is man-made, et cetera, and look what all the stuff we have to do. Let's let them testify under oath, and let's have the other side testify under oath.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because so much is what is driving everything in this country, for the most part now, is climate change, climate hoax. I mean, all that crap. It's bullshit. But nobody ever debates it in public. You have the little nibrods that go on CNN or MSNBC or whatever though. Then you have some that go on Fox, some that go on Newsmax, etc. They talk about it, but you never get to see the debate. Let's have the debate.
I like that. It's kind of like the COVID vaccine. Like
not a closed
no one would
debate,
ever
not
debate that.
in a closed session, a public debate. Like we had on Trump's impeachment. That was a public debate. Let's fight it out. And you're going to educate a lot more people about that, having one of those, than any of the stuff they're doing now.
But you've seen how those have been ran. Like, do you think you'd even get anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah, because you have your set of prosecutors on this side, your set of prosecutors on this side. You call your witnesses. They're under oath. You have somebody that's like a retired judge that monitors things and keeps it sane. And you make your best case. People could put on their slides, their whiteboards, whatever they want, and have a debate, because I think it's so important, because so many things driven in this country is driven by this old climate change.
Where do you think that came from?
Leftists.
I know, but what's the, like, I guess my whole thing is, like, I watch this and I see what's going on. I'm like, for what reason? Like, is it to take away? I think they're taking away capitalism, because if you think about it, there's only like 4 or 5 companies that really run everything, if you think about it, right? Or maybe a little more than that. But it's like they're trying to take away a lot of things, and everyone reacts off fear, I feel like. Well,
that's what they want people to fear. They want people to fear, because if people fear, you can control them. That's what they want. They don't like a free society. Remember, the ones that are doing this hate the Constitution, hate the Bill of Rights. They only use that as a shield, but they ignore it when they want to use it as a sword. You don't have free speech rights to say what you say because you are conservative. You're going to say something bad. We can say what we want because we are correct. We're right. We're the good guys.
Yeah, I feel like you see that a lot in California, but a lot during COVID. Like you just see a lot of it. They're pushing their beliefs down your throat, where like this transgender bathroom, or you know, because it's like you have to have was it on your bathroom, like non-gender bathrooms, and it's like, well, no, there's man or woman, but if you say that, like you're a bad person in their eyes.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did the public ever get to vote on this transgender bathrooms? Did we ever get to vote on how many genders there are? Did we ever get to vote on whether or not we're supposed to call them African American or blacks, Chicano, Mexican, Mexican American? Did the public ever get to vote? No, all of a sudden, somebody by fiat said, this is how you have to speak. You can't say this, you can't say that. We didn't get to vote on it. Who made up that rule?
That's a good point.
You know, for a long time, when the N-word was outlawed, or not outlawed because they didn't have a law in the book. Now there probably are laws on the book. Okay, fine. And so it was referred to as colored people. That was absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Then all of a sudden somebody got a bug up their butt, said, no, that's racist. Then it had to go to African American. You don't hear that very much anymore. Then it went to black. Now it's people of color. Well, one of the longest standing black organizations in the country is the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. You can't say colored people. I can't say colored people. But that organization keeps it as their own.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember when my wife's father, I asked him one time, I said, Lee, do you like the name Chicano? No, he just was outraged because Chicano was the big thing at the time.
Yeah.
What do you think of La Raza? I was just so opposed to that. And you people don't know, but my father-in-law was actually American, but from Mexican descent.
So you're saying that we've just changed things off feelings, not of facts, not off the Constitution.
But you are ordered to comply with what rule they come up with. It's not codified. Now they're trying to codify it.
Gotcha. So you're just saying that like there's no like to what we're being for what we're being told. There's nothing like to like back it. Like we didn't vote on these things. We didn't
vote
as
on
a
these
people.
things.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, one of the worst slurs you could use is queer. Now it's part of the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when did the rules change to begin with? Who changed it back? Who voted for it? But that's what leftists do. People on the right don't make up rules for how other people should live their life. They don't.
That's a great point.
And if they try to, they're a rhino.
Yeah.
I mean, would Romney like to? Yeah. But no, I mean, the left is the one that makes up rules for you to abide by. They don't like guns, so you can't have them. You know, who was that? That Nimrod, mayor of New York City, that outlawed 32-ounce Cokes? You know, the big Slurpees?
Was it the one before this guy right now?
Well, it's de Blasio, I think.
Yeah.
Or that or Bloomberg.
No, it was de Blasio because he was the one who was on TV eating a hamburger, saying if you get a COVID shot, you get a free hamburger.
Yeah, because the sugar's so bad for you, blah, blah, blah. You can't have a 32-ounce Coke. Well, people go and buy two 16-ouncers.
Yeah, and he was fat.
So
who
yeah,
cares?
he was fat and a pothead and a leftist. Never had a good idea in his brain.
Triple whammy. And his brother was Chris Cuomo, wasn't it? No. That was
yeah, Chris and
that was the other mayor.
yeah. No, that was the governor,
Governor. Yeah.
Andrew Cuomo. But yeah, I mean that's part of the problem, and people. I'm old enough to know how it's been, where it's come from, and where it's going. You're too young. You only know part of it.
Yeah, but it's a great point, I think, because we do and say things and act a certain way, and we don't even know where it came from.
Right.
Like, I remember, like, I'm at the gym, and I see signs in the bathroom that says non-gender, and it's just a rule now that you have to put up if you open a business. And I'm like, well, where did that come from?
Well,
like,
I don't mind if it's a one-holer, okay? A single person goes in there, and they can lock the door, and it's, male or female,
but that's called a male
whatever.
Yeah, that's just called a bathroom.
Yeah,
it's not
okay.
a non-gender bathroom.
Right. But now, what's it morphed into? Taxpayers are paying for transgender surgeries.
Yeah.
For prisoners.
Well, I might, if I went to prison, I might want to be trans. I might want to go to the female prison.
If you do a crime, you shouldn't be able to go in and have elective surgery.
That's true. I agree.
Secondly, if you're a dude born with a penis, you should not be able to use the women's prison.
I agree.
Things like that. But somehow you're a homophobe, etc. if you ever say that out loud.
Yeah.
I don't care about saying it out loud.
So what do you think needs to change in our society to, like, what's the answer to all this? Like what is for my kids growing up, like, this is going to be normal, right? And they'll never know, like, because I'm kind of old enough to, like, know that, like, this isn't how it always has been. But when my kids get old enough, they're going to be like, this is just normal.
Well, for example, a daughter that's 40-something or other, one that's 39 going on 40, the other one's 37 going on 38. They're all conservative. Okay, so are their husbands. They get it because I raised them that way. But I didn't shelter them because they could see in their own lives, in their own schools and stuff like that, there are some real wackos out there, and they're all from the left. Where the left calls us, if we have one gun, we're just, no, you can't have that. We're the wackos to them, but they're the ones that try to dictate what we do. We don't try to dictate what they do. Yet they're the ones that are getting the subsidies. They're the ones that are getting appointed to all these boards and commissions. They're the ones that are getting favored status. And now, it used to be, for example, a big thing was we had to have integrated schools because segregated schools and stuff like that, it's class warfare, et cetera. We can't have that. Biden was a huge opponent to integrated schools, okay? He called them racial jungles if you mix the blacks with the whites. Now, what are they having? Blacks want their separate graduations. They want their separate schools. They want separate benefits based upon their black. They want reparations. They want all this. And the whites should have to pay for it all. Well, who made those rules? I mean, do you think the Fresno State students got to vote on whether or not they had a separate black graduation, a separate LGBTQ graduation? You look at the State Bar of California. They have associations, attorneys in California, gay, bisexual organization, people of color organizations. You have all of these. Can you imagine if you wanted to come out with a white organization?
It would probably not go over too well.
No, it wouldn't. And there would be a number of states that would pass laws against it. What's different? What's different? If you're going to divide yourself based on race or religion or whatever, then in all fairness, you have to do it for everybody, right? No, but they don't believe in fairness.
That's a good point. I think it would start off, this podcast was kind of funny. It started off with the Second Amendment and about, taking our guns away. And it's just, I always thought the Second Amendment was for my protection, right? But we learned from Brian, what was it for?
Well, to protect you against an oppressive government.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy when
Self-protection, yes,
Yeah.
but an oppressive government.
yeah, which is crazy.
Why do you think they want to take away our guns?
Yeah.
They can't find one NRA member who ever went in and committed a crime with a gun. Have they used a gun in self-defense? Yes. Have they tried to charge people with a crime that are NRA members? Yes. But no NRA member walked into a liquor store, a stop and rob, used their gun to rob it. NRA members don't do that. They use it for self-defense.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you have your CCW, like the chances of you actually using your gun is like almost zero.
Way?
Yeah. Almost like zero, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. So when they have these grandiose plans, we have to get these guns off the street, blah, 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 blah. No criminal's ever going to follow that rule. That's why they're criminals.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about this podcast and what we talked about today is that it makes you think, like, what is this all about? Like, did we really vote on that? Like, all these little things that they just penetrate into your life that you don't even really notice because it's just like whatever, it's just kind of like whatever it is. It could be the bathroom signs. It could be like your guns, all those things. And like, like Brian said, if it's LGBTQ or how you call someone a certain name, like who came up with that and why is it there, right?
Who made the decision that what you said is bad?
Yeah, and I think it sped up during COVID, during 2020, 2021 with the BLM and all
Right.
that stuff. It definitely escalated things and the way people talk and what you can and cannot say, and if you wore a mask, if you didn't wear a mask, whatever it might be, right?
Oh, yeah, the COVID thing. Yeah, with these expert scientists.
And so I think that's great because to actually like talk about this and think about it, because a lot of times we go through life not even realizing like, wow, I didn't like, where did that come from?
You notice the laws that just are right in your face right off the bat. The ones you have to be really wary about.
And especially in California, like he said, there's so many that are passed. It's almost hard to see because there's so many of them.
Would you rather see a criminal in the daytime or one that you all of a sudden know is in your house in the dark?
Yeah.
Okay? These really, really, really bad laws come at night.
Yeah.
They sneak up on you. Here's an example. It doesn't really affect me. It's so stupid. Great idea. The new, like shopping centers and stuff like that, especially state facilities and federal government facilities. They have to allow so many parking places, a huge number of parking places for clean air vehicles, electric vehicles. You go to the DMV place in Clovis, they have to have like 30 parking spots for clean air vehicles, electric vehicles, clean air.
I usually just
I
park
had to
in
go
those.
there, and it was like at 9 o'clock in the morning. There were a bazillion cars there. There were 3 people parked in those spots. Those are the closest to the door. Those where you get at my bank kiosk, where I deposit checks and stuff like that. 5 parking spaces around this one kiosk are for clean vehicles only. I don't pay attention to it. Why should I? There's no cars parked there. I'll be there for 2 minutes. Okay? Handicap parking spaces, yeah, I avoid those like the plague. But they just come up with these stupid little rules. What is it? What's the clean air vehicle lane on the freeways? What's it called? What?
Yeah, that's a thing. I've never seen one of those. I mean, they're
No,
like
they got the
carpool.
diamond, the carpool.
Carpool.
That, because it's carpool and clean air vehicles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You got an EV? Oh, you can drive in that.
You just hammer that thing, huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because you took it for the tame. You could afford an EV. You thought it was a good thing for the planet.
If you were to get a car that is an EV, which one would you get? And what bumper sticker would you
Zero
have?
zip.
I know, but if you're just hypothetical, what bumper sticker would you have on the back of it?
Well, I couldn't say that publicly. I wouldn't get a bumper sticker. But I wouldn't get one.
I'm just play a game with me. Play along. Because every time I see one, they always have bumper stickers. You know, it's like keep Tahoe blue. I shop at Trader Joe's.
An EV, I couldn't even think. Probably, I don't know. I just because Musk is so on for free speech, probably one of his.
Oh yeah,
But I wouldn't get one.
I do like the new Tesla trucks though. I would get one of those.
Yeah,
Those are pretty cool.
I mean, it's just crazy. Remember when we went down to Palm Springs and we had some people came down and they had to stop
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
4 hours and get their car charged?
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's been a good podcast. It's funny because there's a lot of laws that are right in our face that we don't even see or actually recognize. We see them, but we don't recognize them, and then the damage they're doing in the future and even now. And so that's something that you guys can take away from this podcast is like, hey, listen, like sometimes question what you're seeing because it's not always like, it doesn't really affect me. Well, it kind of doesn't affect you, but at the same time, it does affect you because it affects our kids, it affects the future, and everything else. Do you have anything else you'd like to leave that with, Brian?
Yeah, the one-way arrow in supermarkets. Remember during COVID?
Yeah, it saved a lot of lives. Yeah. Did you ever abide by that? By the way, Brian and I go to the grocery store more than anyone, maybe during the week. I go at least 4 times a day or 4 times a week. And you go like every day almost?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. No. But he used to. So that's another fun fact about Brian. Instead of his shirts being wild, he likes grocery store.
No, I mean, it's just, had I known we were going to get into this, I would have thought some more about some of these regulations that are so stupid, so oppressive that nobody's ever heard about. But they're going to come to bite you.
Yeah.
They're going to bite. They're going to bite some. For example, every 3 years I have to pass this continuing education at the bar. 25 units. You got to pay money to do it. 5 hours. Gender discrimination. 5 on that subject. All of the discrimination in the workplace. I'm thinking, really, attorneys need to be educated on that. If they do, they either have an employee that shouldn't be employed, or you have to be an idiot to not know what those rules are. And I started to listen to one, and they had one of those speakers that, you could just tell they were a screaming leftist.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, those are some things you guys can look forward to on the future podcast.
If there are any.
Yeah, which we're going to come at you with things that seem totally outlandish. And what does that have to do with me? But in all reality, it affects our lives. It affects our future. It affects our kids. And it's some funny stories mixed in between, and some nice T-shirts that Brian got with some guns. And so, yeah. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, signing off.
We're gonna have you do like a fix or something.
Well, people could tell I was just.
All right.
Yeah, how do you feel?
How do you feel?
How long was that one?
This one is going around almost 40 minutes.
You talk a lot.